Let it in. All right, so Tina's going to read lesson 98. Oh, good morning. Tina's going to read. We've been talking for about 5 minutes or so just prior to recording. Tina's going to read lesson 98. The rest of us relax, close eyes, and allow not the words, because the words are symbols, but the message that the words convey to be absorbed or to be heard, to be resonant, felt in the heart, wherever it comes in. Let it in. Right? There should be a listening without questioning, without trying to grasp. Listening without trying to grasp the meaning as it goes along. Okay, it's like when you have a conversation with someone and they're telling you something, and all of a sudden you grab onto part of what they're telling you and you start thinking about that, and then you're actually missing the rest of what they're telling you. And you kind of like end up saying, oh, sorry, I lost track of what you were saying there or something. You know? So in the idea of then listening, just try to keep the mind open and trust that it's not the conceptual mind that is hearing this. That's not what it's intended for. It's intended for the Christ mind, where the error seemed to have occurred. And it goes in and it does what it needs to do there. And the conceptual mind, the ego mind, or the mind that we're retraining to be more Christ-like, gets the result of that through being able to witness to it in their own experience, in its own experience, giving it credibility and validity, etc. Hey, we got Bernadette. That was a good swap out. Bernadette, you know, whatever her name was for Bernadette.
How would you know?
2 on the bench, 1 shall be chosen. There she is. Sitting in front of Ozzy Osbourne. That's cool. We love you, Bernadette. All right, so just for Bernadette, Tina's going to read lesson 98, and we're just going to listen without questioning, without analyzing, without everything, and just let it in. Okay. Oh, you have the pharaohs and everything up there on the wall. All right, go for it, Tina.
Yeah, I'm changing our mic.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
When you're ready.
Lesson 98. I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. Today is a day of special dedication. We take a stand on but one side today. We side with truth and let illusions go. We will not vacillate between the two, but take a firm position with the one. We dedicate ourselves to truth today and to salvation as God planned it be. We will not argue. It is something else. We will not seek for it where it is not. In gladness, we accept it as it is and take the part assigned to us by God. How happy to be certain. Whew. All our doubts we lay aside today and take our stand with certainty of purpose and with thanks that doubt is gone and surety has come. We have a mighty purpose to fulfill and have been given everything we need with which to reach the goal. Not one mistake stands in our way, for we have been absolved from errors. All our sins are washed away by realizing they were but mistakes. The guiltless have no fear,
Breathe, Francois.
for they are safe and recognize their safety. Ooh. They do not appeal to magic, nor invent escapes from fancied threats without reality. They rest in quiet certainty that they will do what is given them to do. They do not doubt their own ability because they know their function will be filled completely in the perfect time and place. They took the stand which we will take today, that we may share their certainty and thus increase it by accepting it ourselves. They will be with us. All who took the stand we take today will gladly offer us all that they learned and every gain they made. Those still uncertain too will join with us, and borrowing our certainty will make it stronger still. While those as yet unborn will hear the call we heard and answer it when they have come to make their choice again. We do not choose before ourselves today. Is it not worth 5 minutes of your time each hour to be able to accept the happiness that God has given you? Is it not worth 5 minutes hourly to recognize your special function here? Is not 5 minutes but a small request to make in terms of gaining a reward so great it has no measure? You have made 1,000 losing bargains at the least. Here's an offer guaranteeing you your full release from pain of every kind and joy the world does not contain. You can exchange a little of your time for peace of mind and certainty of purpose with the promise of complete success. And since time has no meaning, you are being asked for nothing in return for everything. Here is a bargain that you cannot lose, and what you gain is limitless indeed. Each hour today, give him your tiny gift of but 5 minutes. He will give the words you use in practicing today's idea the deep conviction and the certainty you lack. His words will join with yours and make each repetition of today's idea a total dedication, made in faith, as perfect and as sure as his in you. His confidence in you.
Listen.
His confidence in you will bring the light to all the words you say. And you will go go beyond their sound to what they really mean. Today you practice with him as you say, I will accept my part in God's plan for salvation. In each 5 minutes that you spend with him, he will accept your words and give them back to you all bright with faith and confidence, so strong and steady. They will light the world with hope and gladness. Do not lose one chance to be the glad receiver of his gifts, that you may give them to the world today. Give him the words, and he will do the rest. He will enable you to understand your special function. He will open up the way to happiness and peace, and trust will be his gifts. His answer to your words. He will respond with all his faith and joy and certainty that what you say is true. And you will have conviction then of him who knows the function that you have on earth as well as heaven. He will be with you each practice period you share with him, exchanging every instant of the time you offer him for timelessness and peace. Throughout the hour, let your time be spent in happy preparation for the next 5 minutes you will spend again with him. Repeat today's idea while you wait for the glad time to come to you again. Repeat it often. And do not forget, each time you do so, you have let your mind be ready for the happy time to come. And when the hour goes and he is there once more to spend a little time with you, be thankful and lay down all earthly tasks, all little thoughts and limited ideas, and spend a happy time again with him. Tell him once more that you accept the part that he would have you take and help you feel. And he will make you sure you want this choice, which he has made with you and you with him.
Good. Breathe. You hear these words in your heart, through the ears and straight into the heart. Some parts resonate like a beautiful orchestra, and they're just the words that you want to hear. They're the words that you're desperate to hear. There's no other book you pick up and you read that has these kinds of words. I mean, other spiritual books, sure, but in general. I've often had people say to me that they've never heard anyone talk the way I talk. They've never heard anyone speak of what I speak of. And yet the words that I talk and that I speak of, they're not really my words. I, as the Dave, as this entity, as this being on this planet, has no clue about salvation. But in my willingness to simply say yes to something that I don't understand, to say yes to something that's beyond physical, beyond human comprehension, something else happens. And you just start talking and you just start making the attempt, like you make the first step, and then God just sort of seamlessly blends in and steps forward and speaks through you. And I love that bit in the Sermon on the Mount where it says, he opened his mouth and spoke. What a strange thing to say. He opened his mouth and spoke. Of course you open your mouth when you speak. But it's like there's a greater understanding to that. I've had moments of like standing in a room with people and sitting in session groups and all sorts of stuff, satsangs and whatever, and there's no words to come, and you just sort of step forward and go, all right, I'm doing this, and the Holy Spirit just goes, bah. And just pours through you, and stuff comes out, and you're like, wow, that was good stuff. I don't even know what I said. I don't even know what, people will say to you, how did you know all that? How do you know all that stuff? You speak with such certainty. And it's like, well, it's not really my certainty. I have a certainty about it in that I am the witness, and what you witness to, you can't deny. When you see something, when you experience something, you can try to tell yourself it never happened. It's like my daughter and I were sitting out 2 days ago on the veranda out there, looking out over the trees and the clouds. And we were, ever since she was a little baby, we've looked at things in the clouds, you know, kittens and dragons and cows and whatever goes by. And we both saw this flash of yellow light coming from pretty much down where Joe lives. And we went choom up into the clouds, and we looked at each other and we're like, did we see that? And but because we both saw it, it went from the ground up, you know, like really quick. Because we both saw it, we couldn't doubt that we saw it. We both looked at each other and went, did you see that? I saw that, you know, like, but if she wasn't there, my mind would have automatically have gone to, maybe it was just light reflecting off something, or maybe it was just, maybe I didn't see it, you know, talk yourself out of it. But when you witness something, you witness it truly, and that true witness is in the joining with your brother. It's two, right? So it's like Jesus says in the Bible, where two give witness, that witness is true, right? So it's like when you go before a court, if two people witness against you, that witness is true. If it's only one, then it can be held to doubt. But you can't doubt each other when you know something, right? This is why you have to join with your brother. You have to come together and make that pact, that decision, that action of joining with others in something that will bring forth the fruit of the purpose that you're joining for. You know, we're all here on this cosmic planet, cosmic plane, learning stuff. Pardon me, I've got hiccups. Learning, and we're all kind of au fait with the idea that the universe is a classroom and that we're learning lessons in the journey of our soul. We all kind of know that. But if we're not aware what the lessons are that we're learning, how do we know we're even learning? Right? So the lesson that we're learning is to stay true. We're making a decision and we're learning to stay true to that decision. And we are going to be challenged, because underlying everything is our old story, our old script. Somewhere we've made a decision for ourselves. I'm done with my life the way it is. It goes nowhere. It goes in circles. I'm fucking sick of it. I want something else. And then boom, Jesus drops in, or Buddha, or wherever you are in the world, some teacher will show up for you in some form that you'll be able to recognize, representing the something else, right? In our case, it was Jesus or the Holy Spirit, or whoever knows, I don't know. But that starts you on a whole other thing, right? All of a sudden, you realize somewhere that you've made a decision and something's happened to confirm the decision. You know how many people I've had tell me that A Course in Miracles has come to them miraculously? We went and did our and it's all part of the script, I know, but we went and did our happy day. What do you call it? Sounds like a McDonald's thing. Our what was that thing we did, Joe? Harmony, Health and Wellness, spiritual Harmony, Health and Wellness Day. And it's like literally 5 minutes up the road at this grounds around this old hotel. People were coming up to us all day at our little stall. We're handing out sparkly books and little books and talking to people and stuff. People were coming up all day going, oh my God, I've been praying for this and you guys were there, and you know, bum, 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 and just telling us how they came across copies of the course because their friends had talked about it years ago and it's always been in the back of their mind or something. And it's just something that calls. It's something that's like draws you towards it. And once you find it, you realize that it represents the decision you've made. You realize that your chosen learning curriculum hasn't really been chosen by you. You didn't choose it, it chose you, right? So it's like that old saying, when you're willing to find love, it will find you. All you got to do is stop doing everything else that's not finding love, right? Which is pretty basic stuff. When I came across the course, I'd come from a long period of searching, I guess you'd call it, you know, churches and mosques and temples and everything from the Brahma Kumari, the Hare Krishna people, and Baptist, a Baptist minister up the road from me, and all these different things. I even went into a Muslim mosque one day to try and find some stuff, but I was unsuccessful. Just looking, trying to find something that made sense in my life. Finally, when I gave up and I asked for help, the course came along. And it came along and I didn't even know it existed. I had no clue about it. Although I do recognize that in the moment where it was given to me, that I actually had come across it about 10 years earlier when I was drunk and stoned out of my head at a party, at a university student's party. Someone was handing around one of the little 20-minute books at a, you know, and it's like, I read one little excerpt out of it and I thought, holy crap, I need to get that book. But I was so drunk that the book was passed around and I never saw it again for another 10 years. I didn't even know what the book was. It was just like, I just read something, nothing I see means anything, blah, blah, blah. And went, something happened in my head, right? Something happened. I knew something happened. I recognized something happened. There was a recognition of something totally different from my thinking. And then it was gone. And I obviously wasn't ready for it, but I had to go through this whole period of stuff. Finally, boom, here we are, Zoom meeting. I'm ready for it. And it's still reflecting the nature of the decision that I made to want peace. I was tired of my chaotic mind, just as you guys are. Tired of this yak that goes on in there. I just want a peaceful, quiet mind. Right? Now, the caveat to that is, you cannot have a peaceful and quiet mind unless you're willing to offer it to others. Because as you teach, you learn. And you have to be about the nature of teaching as a conscious activity. You have to literally be able to, and when I say conscious, I don't mean like externally. I mean, you have to be consciously aware of the fact that that's what you're doing, right? Because the cues and markers that show up in the world for you to be able to teach and therefore inject into that situation the opportunity to enlighten it are everywhere. But if you're not consciously aware of it yourself, you're going to miss it. Right? The ego always speaks first. And so you'll be walking along and you'll bump into someone you know and you'll have a conversation. And they, of course, are going to represent the old way of thinking, that old time, or maybe not, maybe more people are waking up now and you'll meet other people and you'll just join in high fives. But, you know, chances are you'll meet someone that wants to talk about the weather or your job or anything like that. And like somewhere you got to refuse to do that. It's like, yeah, I'll meet you there. I understand where you're at, but I'm going to offer something else into this conversation because I want change for me. And if that means that you're no longer going to see me as the same familiar person, so be it. I'll take that chance. You're either going to join me in the journey or you're going to fall away. And that has to happen. That has to occur because you're looking at thoughts in your own mind constantly. And that's what the external symbols represent. And I'm looking at my old story constantly and I'm seeing I need to edit it here. I need to edit this story and allow something else to happen in that place where I'm willing to represent the edit and let something else happen that's not from here. It's from a higher perspective. That'll be quite threatening and confronting to most people, especially if it's the first time. You know, if you went up to somebody and said, how's your day? And you said, oh, box of chocolates or, you know, yellow cars or something like that, they're going to look at you like you're mad. Like, what do you mean? You know, like what? And if you went up and you said, Jesus is in charge of my day, how do you think it's going? They're probably going to look at you the same way. Oh, this guy's crazy. We better avoid this guy. You know, most people will allow you to have a little bit of godliness, but if it's total, it's like, holy shit, this person's full on, right? Who cares? Who gives a fuck, right? It doesn't matter. Full on for one person can look like totally different something for another person, right? The levels of teaching aren't really under any obligation to look a certain way. All that matters is that you're consciously willing or aware of your conscious willingness yourself to be representative of that new way in the daily things that occur to you. Otherwise, you're going to not know what the hell's going on in your own life anyway, right? So you teach it to learn it. You teach it to learn it. And the more you do that, the more it just becomes natural. The more you just sort of fall into it and you become that sort of crazy God person in the community or whatever it does. Who cares, you know? I remember watching that TV. My parents always watched British sitcoms and stuff. And there was a series called The Last of the Summer Wine. And these old characters in this little country village, you know, that always meet at the pub and have their pint and whatever. And there was the vicar, right? The vicar always comes down, he has half a pint and he doesn't say anything. He just sort of basically just sits there and everybody talks about all the shit of the village and he's just silent. He's got nothing to say. He has got no interest to join in that conversation, nothing. And he knows they're not interested in there, but he just enjoys his beer. And he enjoys the camaraderie and the everything else of it like that. Like the overall atmosphere is a happy one, right? And he can join in that happiness by his presence. He doesn't need to change anything or do anything like that. But he's representing himself in that as his own chosen decision to be there, you know. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of that, but it's like the witnesses that you have to the truth of you are in your own daily life. You know, it's not about going to holy places or doing tons of special stuff that you think verifies who you are as a spiritual aspirant or spiritual student. It's as simple as washing the dishes. It's as simple as talking to your neighbor. It's as simple as reaching out and just saying, hey, look what I've found, you know, or, you know, if somebody asks. All that sort of thing. So one of the things that, and this is in the, Tina, did you put it in that thing I asked you put it in there? Right.
I did, yeah.
Is you have a timeline, right? The alpha and the omega. And let's look at one human life. Forget about the idea of reincarnation for a second. You've got the alpha and the omega, where you're born and where you die, seemingly, right? The illusion of born and dying. Within that, you've got all these circular opportunities, these revolving lessons that go on and on and on. And each one is represented by a certain contact or person that you're meant to meet on your timeline. And they're going to play the same part for you again and again. Or maybe different people will play the same part for you again and again. If you tell the original one, fuck off, I can't deal with this, you know, I need a break or whatever. But you'll meet that same person in a different form, the same situation in a different form, because you take your own mind with you wherever you go. And what you're seeing out there is only a reflection of your own mind, right? It's not another person or another situation. It's you playing out as a situation, right? Recognizing then, Anna, and this is where you're at, or hopefully maybe you're past it now, right? But I'm going to tell you every meeting. And you know why I'm going to tell you every meeting is because I know how much it takes to hear this. Right? I know how much it takes to get in. So many times I've sat in front of Ted for years and years and years, listening to him saying the same thing, and I've known it was the same thing, and I'm always reaching for it. It's never quite going bang and hitting home. It's always like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it's never like, whoa, knock me out of my chair. Right? And that's when you really hear it, when all of a sudden you're like, bang, and you know you heard it. Right? But you'll have these moments, they're triggers. You've made the decision for peace, and in everything that shows up, you now have to choose whether to honor that decision for peace that you made or to just ignore it for a second and pretend you didn't make that decision and put up with whatever the shit is that's going on. Right? Deal with it in the old way. It's like every time you do that, it's got to come all the way around again. It might be a daily trigger. It might be a weekly one. It might be one that comes into your spectrum every year or 10 years or whatever. And be, oh, not this again. But you'll know it because of the energetic signature that it contains. If it's a different person, it'll still be playing the same part for you, right? You'll realize perhaps that you're being a lifeboat rather than a lighthouse. And you'll recognize it by how you feel about it, right? Your emotions. You'll be like, oh, God, right? Which is why I'm always telling you guys, don't deny your emotions. Don't pretend to be happy. Don't, you know, like oh, here and now, man, peace and love, man. Don't do that. Just be like, no, I'm all fucked up. I need help, right? That's a more honest place. I'm all fucked up. I need help, right? Be that. It's fine. Once you totally accept that you're all fucked up and you need help, then you're totally happy. It's like, no, fuck it. I'm a mess. And you can laugh about it. It's only when you're a mess and you don't want to accept it and you don't want to be a mess that it becomes a problem. You know, because then you're in resistance to actually accepting how it is that you actually feel, right? Which is denial. Anyone that's ever been through a bad period of denial knows that it's not fun. I don't want to accept this about myself. I like to see myself as a fundamentally good person. It's like, nah, I'm an arsehole. I'm an arsehole, I'm a liar, and the son of a liar, Jesus said. You know, why would I expect to be to love myself? But you love yourself by accepting yourself exactly as you are. So you have these moments that come along, right? And sometimes, let's say you see the person walking up the street and you have this feeling of dread. It's like, oh my God, there's that person again. Now what the fuck do they want? You know, or what is it that's going to happen this time? You know, Joe knows this one. Blah, 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 right? There's only ever love or an asking for love, right? But how that asking for love looks is up to God, not up to you, right? So I'm either seeing love or I'm seeing a need for love. Now, if I have dread and I have all this regret and I have all this, oh my God, no, not again sort of thing, I'm the one that needs love because my brother is not that body. My brother is not that image and that story that's asking me for stuff or pushing my buttons or whatever. My brother is the Christ, but it's my job to see my brother as the Christ. I can't do that because I've got this storyline going that I'm having yin and yang moments with, good and bad moments with. And when you choose for peace, it's always that you're going to recognize initially the bad moments that draw you out of it, right? The bad moments are more obvious where it is that they pull you out of your state of peace because they're much more conflictual. And the happy moments or the good moments about that person or situation, you're going to say, well, why would I be concerned about that pulling me out of my state of inner peace, right? But inner peace is here. Yin and yang is here. My job is to stay here. My job is to find the happiness that comes with being perfectly peaceful, like the Dalai Lama or the Buddha, right? If you were to look at the example of Jesus, people always think of Jesus as loving and kind and all of that, but I don't know biblically whether they particularly think of him as perfectly peaceful. I mean, he made a whip of cord and flogged the poor old merchants in the temple and turned over their tables. And, you know, he berated Peter a lot and told him off and did all sorts of stuff, you know. But so you kind of don't get that overall sense of, you know, and then in the course, Jesus says, I'm asking you guys to have more patience than I had. So there's an open and beautiful admission there from Jesus that, like, you know, and even in the text where he says, I cried at the persecution of the Jews in World War II. It's like, holy crap. Jesus has already transcended the realm, but yet still has an affinity with the emotional state that's possible within the world to be able to communicate with us. I mean, man, that opens my heart, you know, that just makes me just tears and everything. It's like, wow, that's beautiful. Those emotions and things, they're not good or bad, you know, but I give them the value of being good or bad, and I drag myself out of my state of peace each time. I can simply stay in my state of peace and recognize that this is this and that's that without having to react to it. Right? But it's because I react to it all the time and draw myself out of my state of inner peace and so reenact my timeline that I need a miracle. It's like, no, I need to learn to be still. I need to learn to stay here in the middle. Be in the world, but not of it. And each of these conflicts, each of these things, and it's initially the bad ones that you see, the things that really upset you and piss you off, right? And you kind of go through this process of dealing with those, right? I look at that and I'm willing to forgive myself for being upset about this person. This doesn't mean that you have to do whatever that person's saying or whatever, But it means that you step back and you ask, how do I deal with this, Father? How do I deal with this situation? The healing happens in me first, finger on my nose, which is my reaction to it, right? I need to be healed of my reaction there so that I can have a clear moment with God, right? And then I'm listening. Now, what do I say to my brother? They're asking me for love, right? Any idea that implies lack or need or want or any of those sorts of things is clearly a call for love, not for the thing on the surface that it seems to be asking for, although that may occur. But in my willingness to step back, how do I fulfill this request for love? And then allow yourself to be guided. Right? Sometimes that guidance is going to look like tough love, just saying, no, I can't do that for you. And sometimes it'll be like, all right, let's sit down and look at this equation, and together, the both of us can come and reach an agreement and see what we can do about it. Because there's always a better way. But you have to be kind of okay. Sometimes if it looks like saying no, it's saying no. And sometimes if it's saying yes, it's saying yes. Preferably, there would always be a yes. But if you're going to be used as a doormat, or if you're going to be, you know, that what's that old saying, Tina? If you teach a man to, no, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats forever.
Keeps on eating.
Keeps on eating. Yeah. I don't really like fish, but so it's like the particulars of each person's individual transformation are going to present the opportunities to learn how to be miracle-minded, to learn how to be in a state of deferring to higher authority, to higher mind, in confrontation with all the things that seem to be going on out in the world, right? To maintain one's own sense of inner peace and also to be helpful. Right? Just don't decide how helpful ought to look. Right? Let it be miraculous. Sometimes I've stepped back and I've been in one of those moments like, oh my God, I've got to face this. I've got to let it in. I've got to include it in as my own storyline here. It's teaching me a lesson, but I also, in the willingness to learn that lesson, I can't learn it until I'm willing to fulfill the obligation to the lesson, which is my saying yes to it. My saying yes to it might look like putting my hand up and going, sorry, I can't help you. It might look like the other hand, yes, I can help you. But one of my guiding, it's not really a rule, but when I meet people, I'm aware, and I'm just saying this for you guys, because you guys are in a process of being teachers or becoming teachers and all of this sort of thing, and the world has a great need for teachers and healers. But one of my guiding things is that I always try to bring people into my world rather than to join them back in theirs. And if I'm willing to allow myself in any conversation or situation to be guided by Spirit as to how that occurs, there'll be a moment, right? There'll be a moment. And if you look on this is a beautiful thing I found this morning, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There's a post on, right, written by the original Dear One, Charles Anderson. He wrote that. I don't know when he wrote it, but Sue Mayberry posted it up. And one of the things he says in there, and it's so beautiful, and it's probably explains it better than I can explain it, that because everything is God, everything is love, and it's only me coming to an awareness of that in my own self. If I don't carry that awareness with me throughout the day, I'm going to miss the obvious nature of the fact that everything is God, and I'm going to miss how that plays out. You know, it's like, have you got that, Tina, that Seven Dwarfs? Just bring it up, will you?
Okay, let me find it. Yeah, I'll get it. I had it on my phone.
All right, you get that up. Just the way he put it was so simple. I mean, I often think that I go all the way around the ballpark to get back to the, you know, try to gather everybody in. But everything's presented in symbols. Everything's presented in symbolic form. So, of course, your symbols are going to represent what it is that you choose to represent yourself. I'm either choosing to represent love or fear. That's it. Right? There's only love. There's only fear. That's it. There's not aspects of love or aspects of fear, although that may be how things show up as a specific aspect of fear, like jealousy or regret or any of those sorts of things. And I can deal with it there because that'll be a good way to reference whether I've actually been honest about my healing if I continue to see those aspects. But in general, it's love or fear, right? So if it's not love, it is fear. But only you can decide, only you can be honest, and this is where the honesty comes in, only you can be honest as to what it is for you. Just because something shows up for me and, you know, people call me all sorts of names all the time. It's like, you're a dickhead, you're an asshole, you're whatever it is. And it's like, yep, I'm all of those things. None of those things upset me anymore. I used to get all flustered when people would insult me and be like, well, what have I done? What did I say? You know, but it's not about what I've done or what I said. It's about the opportunity that being flustered or being upset about it brings. It's an opportunity to look at a trigger, an opportunity to heal something in me so that the next time, if that shows up again, it doesn't affect my peace of mind. I don't care about it. I'm just in the flow. Yep, no worries. Yes, wow, and thank you. And sometimes no. Did you find it? You're muted. It's on my timeline, on my...
No, I found it. Do you want me to just share the screen?
Yeah.
You want to? Okay.
Read it. No, just read it out.
This is weird. I'm trying to find the whole thing. What do you want me to do? Just read it?
Yeah, just read it out.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just...
It's beautiful. I don't even...
Yeah, it's sweet. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can read. And so you don't want me to share it? I can share it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to share it and read it. I think that'll be cool. Because it's kind of long. Nobody wants to hear me read that long. All right, let's see. You can see it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so sorry, I can't.
Scroll down a bit. Just scroll down. Keep going, keep going, keep going,
keep going because it's right here. For me to read it.
Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Okay, stop. Go up again, up a bit.
Okay.
Hang on, stop. Up a little more, just a couple of lines up. All right, so will the prince come along, give you a kiss? Wake. You can read the rest of it later, but or then all your 7 energy patterns, you're all going to be singing hi ho, hi ho, it's off to it we go. It's amazing, isn't it? Right? Everything that you do is a paradigm of what you don't want to acknowledge. Right? It's impossible, right? Listen to this. It's impossible for you to do anything that is not symbolic of your awakening. Right? It's impossible. This is so cool. This is the whole thing. It's impossible for you to do anything that's not symbolic of your awakening. That's an astonishing thing to discover. Is you know it everywhere you look. It's symbolic of this one single truth. Of course it is. What else would it be? Is there something separate from that single truth? I'm conveying to you the highest level that it's possible to convey in the universe. I'm attempting to convey it. It is not expressible in duality, so I'm energizing you to the truth. Right? It's like I was telling you the other day, Tina, you've got to learn to see things in terms of energy, right? The frequency, how it feels, all of that sort of thing, right? It's impossible for you to... Oh, where'd it go?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. Sorry.
Anyway, no, but it's impossible for you to do anything that's not symbolic of your awakening, right? But it is possible for you not to recognize it, right? That's okay. We're done with that now.
Got it.
Right? It is possible, however, for you to fail to recognize it. You can just be about your day completely absent-minded, la-di-da-di-da, and just you'll get through the whole day and, oh, nothing miraculous happened today. Or today was a shit, tomorrow will be better. Sure. That's why you have to carry in your own conscious awareness with yourself what it is that your purpose is in every situation in which you find yourself. Because then you'll see your awakening playing out. I remember driving down the Pacific Highway from Brisbane to the Gold Coast one day, and there was a big billboard gone up of some new housing estate that had gone up. Your dream house here, right? And this is after I found A Course in Miracles, and I started laughing. It's like my dream house. It's like, oh my God, how many times have I been told about getting my dream job or the dream holiday or the dream house or the dream partner, you know, my perfect part, all this sort of stuff. And it's like you start to see it, even in your nursery rhymes, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. You know, like it's literally everywhere, right? And it's not just in obvious things like that. It's in everything once you start to see it, right? Once you start to see truly, you will see your awakening happening in front of you out there. There will be no further mystery. There'll be nothing you need to work out. You'll just know that this is part of your journey. It's like, holy cow, here's a situation with this person or that event or whatever it is, and here it comes around again. Now I've got to make a decision. I'm either going to allow myself to play this out as it's always played out, or I'm going to stand up and declare myself as a child of God. I'm no longer a lifeboat. I'm now the lighthouse, you know, all of this sort of thing. Being the lighthouse, however, also comes with a kind of a responsibility that if you're going to shine your light for your brother and your brother's grateful for that light and wants to know more about the light, that you help them discover the light within themselves as well. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless, you know, like you've got so much to give. It's like, well, here, I'm going to be the lighthouse for you. I can see that we're doing this same old dance back and forth again and again and again. I keep meeting you in that dance in the same old way. I'm not doing that anymore. I refuse. But now I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to meet you in a different way, and we're going to start a different kind of journey together, right? Just the same as you guys joining me in this Zoom meeting, right? It's exactly the same thing. We're choosing to begin to learn how to see things differently and how to respond and react to things differently and how to listen to internal guidance with regards to how we deal with the things that show up out in the world. Right? If I just pick up my Course in Miracles book and think that I'll use my Course in Miracles book to respond to the things in the world, that's not it. That's for my undoing. That's no different to people that just want to bash you over the head with the Bible. The Bible says this, therefore you have to do this. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. Right? You're free, they're free, everybody's free. No one has to do anything, a damn thing that anyone else says. But in the interests of salvation, we collaborate and we come together and we choose to have a single goal, which is inner peace, and we choose to serve it in spite of and in the face of everything in the world that seems to want to draw us out of that. Right? There's never an excuse for anger, never. There's never an excuse not to be peaceful in any given situation. We always choose not to be peaceful because a non-peaceful choice is still a choice. But because of the rapidity with which we are used to choosing and accustomed to choosing, we don't even recognize in most situations that we've chosen for it. It just seems to be, wow, that escalated quickly. How did we go from here to here? You know, like, I don't know what happened there, but I need a break from this argument or this situation, right? Whereas if I had carried my own awareness of my purpose with me into that situation in the first place, I would have stepped back amidst the turmoil of it or the whatever it is that's being presented and asked within myself quietly, right? There's nothing wrong in a confrontation or a situation with somebody and saying, hang on a minute, I just need to step back and consider how I want to respond to you. There's nothing wrong in saying something like that. You know, in American culture, in American Native American Indian culture, if somebody asks, and this is my Navajo friend told me this, I don't know if it's across all of the tribes, but my Navajo friend told me that in their culture, not so much the young people, but the older people, if they were asked a question, they would often not answer you for a good few minutes, right? It was seen as an insult to you if they did. because they weren't truly giving time to consider their response to give you their best answer. It was just off the cuff, right? Ego speaks first, same thing. And they would step back and they would really consider their answer before they gave it to you. And that answer would come from the wealth of knowledge of the whole tribe. It wouldn't just come from that immediacy of that situation being presented. It's like when I tell you guys stuff, it's like it comes from a rich history of my own association with the process of transformation, individual to me. Right? Individual to me. I'm not telling you that my transformation is your transformation, but I'm telling you it proceeds along the same lines as your transformation because of our common denominator, which is our decision to join in peace. That's it. We have a single purpose, and it's a collaborative venture. We all join in that peace. Right? But each of us decides what peace is. Right? But if peace is something that some days is more than another, or I have more awareness of it than in other days, that's not peace at all. That's just compromise. Right? Perfect inner peace is no compromise. I want it all the time, as deep as I can get it. Right? And that's where meditation, prayer, and everything comes in, and you begin to realize that, especially in the second half of the workbook, if you're doing those lessons properly, you sit there silently, and at first you can only hold your mind silently for like 10 seconds if you're lucky, 5 seconds, maybe less. And then you get to a few minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, and then it just doesn't matter. Your mind's just quiet. Right? All of a sudden your mind catches on. Oh, I see what you're trying to do here. Boom, and starts to do it. Right? Which is what happens in the AA program. They have this little thing, work the program until it works you. And it will. Eventually you begin to work this book, work these lessons and principles, put them into application in your life. And then all of a sudden one day you realize, holy shit, I didn't even have to stop and think about that. It's me. Right? It's the retraining of my mind in action automatically. Right? Because deferral to the Holy Spirit, which is what you are the Spirit of holiness, should be automatic, and it should be natural, because communication is natural. True communication is natural. Right? For a moment, we use words. We have words, blah, blah, all this boring shit I'm talking about now, because awareness of the vision, of the true vision of Christ, is so dim. It's like we've all fallen into this deep, dark shaft of nothingness. And it's like we're so far down, we can't even see the light shining from the top, in a tunnel, a train tunnel. And it's like all of a sudden you can begin to see the light. We're at that point where we can't even quite begin to see the light yet, but perhaps now we're starting to, Jesus says the true vision is still so dim, right? We're like pioneers. I always love the idea, Ted used to say, man, we're only 2,000 years since the fucking resurrection. In all of time, that's nothing. What's 2,000 years? We really are literally pioneers of resurrection. In 5 million years, people are going to be talking about us in our Zoom meetings, and, they're going to be like, look at these guys doing Zoom meetings to get salvation. We just go down to the mall and we put $1 in the thing, and boom, a laser light hits our brain and sends all these frequencies, and we've instantly got salvation, whatever it is, or they go to the hospital, they get plugged in, salvation, like the Matrix, the red pill or the blue pill. Hopefully it'll be that simple, and our brothers in the future won't have to go through this incredible, laborious process of retraining. But for now, this is the best we got, and it's pretty good. Coming from a place where I had no workbook. Actually, I had a workbook, tell a lie. I had a workbook shown to me once, and I had it for a week or two by my friend Christy, who had been to India, and some Maharaja, or I don't even know what they're called over there, had given her like a dozen pages, and each page was a lesson for her to do. And he gives the same pages to everybody. So in essence, it was a kind of a workbook of spiritual application, which is really cool, I thought. But it was so convoluted. It had all their deities and whatever it was. I think he was a Shivite or something, but, through the process of devotion to Shiva and stuff like that. But there's nothing as comprehensive as this workbook. you know. So be grateful for it. I mean, not only do you have a path to peace presented to you in black and white text, which is all you need, but you have lessons. You've got like the higher mind of Jesus Christ, the highest authority in the land, not in the land, beyond the land, already ascended, talking to you through these pages. You know, it's quite mind-boggling. I don't know why you guys are here listening to me. It's like, just be about it, really. But it is helpful. So it was helpful for me to have Ted for all those years, because I realized my own denial was so thick and sticky, right, that it took a lot for me to actually push through the fog or the denseness or the stupidity or the whatever it is, so that I could hear that I'm not a body. And that was after enlightenment. That was after the illumination of my mind, when I was shown that I was not a body. It's like Jesus said to me, what more could you possibly want? You know, I'm like, I don't know. But it wasn't explained to me in the revelation. It was just the revelation. It's like someone showing you a picture of Mount Everest and you've never seen Mount Everest before. You don't know what you're looking at. It's just a big mountain. And you have to ask then, what is this? What am I looking at? You know, it's like, I've forgotten that I'm whole and perfect. I've forgotten that I'm spirit and that I'm this beautiful, incredible being of light. And then I experience it and it doesn't make sense to me. It seems to conflict with the temporal self that I find myself to be. So I have to have this whole book to tell me, no, that was you. That light, that's what you are. It's like, well, I know it was what I was, like in the moment that I experienced it. I knew that was I am. That was, you know, I and he and me. But it made no sense coming back to the world, because where is that reflected to me in the world? It's not. You know, it's a reference point that I now work towards through the purification of my thinking in collaboration with you guys, and we join in holy purpose. And it's a process. It's a process, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Here I am, Lord. What should I say? Where should I go? Who do you want me to talk to? All that kind of thing. Like, really set the ground rules for your day. Set that whole thing out. It's like, what would you have me be about today, Father? And then be prepared to listen to the guidance. Sometimes that guidance will be a feeling. Sometimes it'll be spoken words. Sometimes it'll be somebody else will come up and say something and you go, oh, you'll just know. You just know that's your guidance. So, Kevin, could you read lesson 12, please, out aloud? I got that earlier and I was supposed to tell you a little bit earlier on, but lesson 12. Same as before. So when Tyna was reading before and I said to you guys, just listen, don't try to think about what's being read, just listen, let it permeate. Same thing again, Francois, especially for you. Okay. So in essence here, Francois, Kevin is reading to you. The rest of us don't exist. Okay. And you're going to hear it for Kevin. Right? You're going to be Kevin's gift to himself. Just breathe.
Okay. Lesson 12. I am upset because I see a meaningless world. The importance of this idea lies in the fact that it contains a correction for a major perceptual distortion. You think that what upsets you is a frightening world, or a sad world, or a violent world, or an insane world. All these attributes are given it by you. The world is meaningless in itself. These exercises are done with eyes open. Look around you, this time quite slowly. Try to pace yourself so that the slow shifting of your glance from one thing to another involves a fairly constant time interval. Do not allow the time of the shift to become markedly longer or shorter, but try instead to keep a measured, even tempo throughout. What you see does not matter. You teach yourself this as you give whatever your glance rests on equal attention and equal time. This is a beginning step in learning to give them all equal value. As you look about you, say to yourself, I think I see a fearful world, a dangerous world, a hostile world, a sad world, a wicked world, a crazy world, and so on, using whatever descriptive terms happen to occur to you. If terms which seem quite positive rather than negative occur to you, include them. For example, you might think of a good world or a satisfying world. If such terms occur to you, use them along with the rest. You may not yet understand why these nice adjectives belong in these exercises, but remember that a good world implies a bad one, and a satisfying world implies an unsatisfying one. All terms which cross your mind are suitable subjects for today's exercises. Their seeming quality does not matter. Be sure that you do not alter the time intervals between applying today's idea to what you think is pleasant and what you think is unpleasant. For the purpose of these exercises, there is no difference between them. At the end of the practice period, add, but I am upset because I see a meaningless world. What is meaningless is neither good nor bad. Why then should a meaningless world upset you? If you could accept the world as meaningless and let the truth be written upon it for you, it would make you indescribably happy. Because it is meaningless, you are impelled to write upon it what you believe, what you would have it be. It is this you see in it. It is this that is meaningless in truth. Beneath your words is written the word of God. The truth upsets you now, but when your words have been erased, you will see his. That is the ultimate purpose of these exercises. 3 or 4 times is enough for practicing the idea for today. Nor should the practice periods exceed a minute. You may find even this too long. Terminate the exercises whenever you experience a sense of strain.
Good. The duality of the world, well, it's not really the duality of the world. The duality of the old thought system is one of opposites, good and bad, right and wrong. We're choosing for inner peace. We're making a new choice, one that's not contained within the good or the bad. We don't want any of those things, not the sick or the healthy. I am spirit, whole and perfect and eternal. I'm therefore not subject to the dictates of being sick or healthy or rich or poor. I'm cared for by my Father eternally. As spirit, when I live from myself, from my spirit, then I'll have always what I need, no more and no less. It'll be perfect. Because God doesn't give in excess and doesn't give in lack. God just supplies everything perfectly. Right? All the animals and creatures of the world, everything automatically has what it needs and goes about its day communing and interacting with the world in a way that creates no negative footprint whatsoever. It's a perfect thing. It's only man that has no fucking clue. Right? We have this amnesia, this fog. And as we learn to tune into our spirit and walk our spiritual truth, God's good is given to us and through us. All of that good and bad, right and wrong, mine and yours, better and worse, it has to go and allow guidance from on high to be that which we use to navigate the situations and events that confront us in the world. We're not here to be pushed around. We're not here to be taken for granted. We're not here to be anything. We're here to represent. That's it. If those who you represent don't want to hear it, dust off your sandals and move on. Dust off your sandals and move on. Don't let the dead wood grip, Don't let the dead wood hang on to you, because you'll end up dragging it around with you. And you'll wonder how come your spiritual good isn't becoming manifest. It's because you're still holding on to something that doesn't fit the mold anymore. You're still holding on to something of the world. You've got to give up the world. You've got to let it all go and be free. Live from your freedom in each and every moment. Freedom is your God-given expression. It's your God-given right. God created you free, not as a slave. You are a servant to no man, but you are a servant to all men. You're here to be of total service. But how that looks is God-given. But you've got to be willing to follow the instructions. You've got to be willing to follow the guidance. And if you don't, you're the one that's going to suffer. You can't have a foot in both camps. So, Francois, that lesson 12, I want you to read that lesson, right? Because of the discussion we've had in our messages, okay? I want you to read that lesson at least 3 times and apply it at least 3 times. I want you to come to an understanding that everything in the world is the same thing. It's all illusion, all of it, the good stuff and the bad stuff, right? Try to think of salvation in this way. We're in a 3rd dimensional experience of ourselves. Salvation is the process of transcending that 3rd dimensional experience of ourselves and being able to leave it behind for good, to move onward in the journey of the soul to the higher dimensions, the higher realities as we make our journey home together, right? To where we actually already are. But it's a process. It's a process now, and it'll be a process 10,000 years from now, right? Luckily, Jesus says in the book, he says, what is 10,000 years, for they have come? Jesus only had a 3-year ministry, so I think it's kind of glib of him to sort of say, what's 10,000 years, for they have come? But it's like, you got to remember, he's up there too. He's doing his thing. He's representing as well. He's pulling the strings and doing what he needs to do on his side, and we're down here on the front lines. All right? You've been called, and I understand that you've been called. All right? There's something occurring in you that I do want to validate for you, right? And I will validate for you. There's a passion and there's a natural inquiry going on in you that for most people in the world, they don't even care about it, right? And I know it tears you to pieces sometimes, right? It's the same with Bernadette. Bernadette has this thing. She hears the call strongly, right? She knows this is her time. This is her awakening. This is her process. Her mind is still kind of busy with it. Sometimes there, but she keeps coming back to it, keeps coming back to it, keeps going back to it. And she's on the verge of it, on the verge of actually a true revelation. Right? Something that's probably going to scare the pants off her initially, which is why, but in you, the same thing is occurring in a slightly different way. if you think of everything as a wheel with rays of light extending out from it, and all those rays of light are different colors, the whole spectrum, right? 12 different colors, 7 you can see and 5 that you can't. Your vibration is in the red ray, right? Bernadette's is in the yellow ray. You're close together, right? Yours is in the red ray. It's really active, really, really active. I want to take advantage of that activity so that you can begin to take advantage of it. I want you to be able to see how actually a good thing that is rather than being fearful of it. Okay? Because those messages and things that you send me, I want this to stop and all of it's like, no. I want to increase that. That anxiety and that tension and that everything that's going on in you, I want to increase that and keep that really full on, but not so you can become more fearful of it, but so that you can come to like a realization of how actually helpful that is in you in reaching deep within yourself to have that much energy going on. All right? Use it for prayer. Use it for meditation rather than reaching out outside of yourself saying, somebody help me, somebody help me. Okay, can you hear that? This is the help. You got a lot of energy going on. Use it to get in touch with Jesus. Use it to get in touch with the Holy Spirit. Bernadette, the same thing. Right? Bernadette, when you feel the need to externalize, go within. Right? You're so close, I can taste it. It's like Tyna the same. Right? Anna the same. You guys have been working with this with me and doing your own thing with it and stuff for a long time now. And it's like, I know I've had a joining with Bernadette, a true one, and I know I've had one with Tyna. I know I'm having one with Anna right now. Oh. Like that. Right. Same thing with you, Francois. Okay. It's your own awareness of it that is going to hook you. It's your own awareness of it that's going to actually bring you into the inner sanctum, if you like, of your own sense of self. And you can be like, aha, I got it. Right. There'll be a click. But you're still kind of on the outer looking in going, why is this happening to me? Right? Why am I like this? It's like, firstly, that's not the real you that's happening to, and it's not the real you that you're like this. All right? It's just energy. Once you learn to use it, once you learn to identify it for actually what it is and learn to use it for what it's actually for, it's like that thing we read from the 7 Dwarves. You'll see it as part of your awakening actually trying to occur to you. I wouldn't be surprised if you burst into light right now. You got so much stuff going on. Just let go, literally. Ready? It's all good. It is all good. Right? Be grateful. Have an attitude of gratitude. Wow. I love this shit that's happening to me. This anxiety and this fear and this terror. That's only what your ego calls it, right? I know that sounds funny, but that's only what your ego calls it. Your ego loves to label everything and give everything a name and a pigeonhole and a box, and it defines it. But it's just the love of God, right? The love of God in you is so strong right now. Just let it be that, and don't give it a name as something else. And you're just gonna like burst right open. It's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. Just remember, there is only love. For a minute, it looks like we have these dumb Zoom meetings and stuff like this so we can help to remember each other that it's only love and all of that. And I'm remembering that it's just love. You guys are giving me the opportunity to remember it's just love. And I'm totally grateful for that. Because I've been out there in the wilderness by myself thinking I can do this on my own. Nah. It's impossible. But then luckily my brothers go with me wherever I go. And if I'm awake and aware of what's actually happening in my daily particulars, then I'm never actually truly alone. But it can seem like that, right? It can seem like that. But just remember, appearances are deceiving always. They are always illusory. Right? Don't judge the form, apply the principle. Don't judge the form, apply the principle. Forgiveness is the principle. The proof of my forgiveness is that I've become grateful for the lesson bearer. Wow, thanks for playing that part for me. Thanks for showing me something about myself I didn't really want to look at. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to rise up, to step up, and to represent something else other than this goddamn world. You're going to be a profound teacher, Francois. You've got the energy for this. You are going to be profound, prolific, and all of those sorts of things. It wouldn't surprise me if you traveled the world and had thousands of followers and all that kind of stuff. Because, man, the energy in you for this, once you bring it around and see it as it actually is, the energy in you for this is something that Tyna knows. You know, it's like I feel like I'm talking to the golden child right now. But the golden child doesn't quite recognize that they're the golden child. It's really beautiful. What's happening to you is really beautiful. I know it can be terrifying, but we're here to tell you, don't worry about it. Don't be fearful. Just go with it, feel it, let it happen, and learn the principles of processing, right? Tyna will help you with that. She'll help you with breathing through. She'll help you with releasing. All right? She'll help you because she needs to teach that for herself. You will be her gift of that. All right. Well, I think any questions? Anyone? And then we'll stop recording and then we'll do the workbook, Tyna, what we were going to do those lessons. Anyone got a question?
Sure.
All good? No? Huh? Look at me. There. Ready? Look at me again. Just breathe. Let it in. Let it in. Don't analyze it. Let it in. That's it. Stay there. Just stay there. Right there. Just keep breathing and stay right there. All right, Tyna, recording. And what lesson are we going to do?
I believe it is lesson 3. I have it somewhere, but bye. We're done.
We're up to 300.
Okay, stop recording.